Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Thriving Females episode. Tonight's interview is going to be our last one for April, and I am Sarah.
I'm Tara.
And I'm Amy.
And we are joined with Jen tonight. Amy, you want to tell us about our guest tonight?
Absolutely. I would be honored to tell you a little bit around Jennifer Weiler. And so, long story short, she and I go back a long ways, about 15 years. Our girls were in preschool together. And the girls became friends, and Jen and I connected. And we quickly found out that we had an incredible passion around the game of golf. My sister and I played varsity in high school. My mom played at Ohio State. Grandparents played. Long story short, golf is very deep rooted. And Jen and I, immediately when we started to talk about that and engage in terms of our girls, and of course with golf, we learned very quickly that we had so many different things in common, and our friendship just grew deeper and deeper from there. And I just wanted to bring Jen in today and really share with our viewers some of the exciting things around this game. Jen has quite a story. And Jen Weiler is the Senior Vice President of Network of the First Tee, Network Relations of the First Tee, which is an amazing organization. So today I'm going to hand it off to Jen, and then we'll find out a little bit more around her story, and then we'll interject questions as we go. Jen, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, we've been friends for a long time. We were just babies when we met.
Yeah.
No, I'm so excited to see Tara again. We've met before, and to meet you, Sarah, and to talk about this game that I believe more and more women and kids should be playing. It's a game that I was lucky enough, like Amy, to start when I was very young. I started when I was 6. Because my parents played and my grandparents played, much like Amy. And, one of my favorite foursomes when I was a kid was with my mom and my sister and my grandmother. It was, just super fun. And it's not typical. So right in all of golf today, about 25% of golfers are female. And at First Tee, where I have worked now for 22 years, about 38% of our participants are girls. So we reach kids ages 5 to 18 across the country. And First Tee is much more than just a golf program for kids. It's about character building and life skills too. And we can talk about that more if you'd like. But I really wanted to talk about why I think your viewers should take up the game if they don't already today. And I just have so many reasons why I think they should try.
So talk to us a little bit about the overall platform in terms of how critical it is that our kids begin to get into golf and take a look at it, and the excitement around children really being in golf this day and age.
So, golf in general, really, during COVID especially, got a renewed interest from people because you were outside, you could be socially distanced. Parents felt really comfortable putting their kids in golf programs. But golf has been important for kids forever. And I think it really boils down to the fact that golf is one of the only sports where you call penalties on yourself. So if you're out playing with others, you don't have a referee, you don't have an umpire, you don't have someone saying, oh, you took an extra swing or you missed the butt, whatever it is. You have to be very honest and act with integrity. And you have to say, you know what? I grounded my club in the sand and, I need to take a stroke or whatever the penalty is. You call it on yourself. And so I think that sort of really mirrors what life is like too. If you act with integrity and if you're honest and you're a young person, eventually an adult that has great character, you're going to go really far in life. I think for girls, especially so I mentioned that in all of golf, 25% of golfers are female, but in junior golf, it's higher. It's in the 30s, 35, 36%. And at First Tee, like I said, about 37, 38%, which we're proud of. We want to keep growing that. But lots of college scholarships go unused for girls. So there's really an opportunity if a young woman picks up the sport and really likes it and is good at it. for her to use it to get a great education. And so I think it's something that moms, dads, caregivers should really look into for their kids, because it's a sport that you can play for your absolute lifetime. Like I said, I played with my grandmother until she was 86 years old, which was just so fun.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you say that. This weekend, I was talking to a friend and they were talking about their little girl and maybe getting them into golf lessons. And the husband goes, yeah, because like D1 schools, less than 20% of scholarships are even used for golf, which was crazy. I had no idea.
It's true. And I think it's all divisions actually too, Tara. Like it's D3. So it's no matter if the young woman is a really excellent golfer or she's good enough to go play in college. But more importantly, if you think about it, like if you look at women in business who have been very successful, if you look into their background, sport for sure is part of how they grew up, whether they played a team sport, an individual sport. So I think sports for girls in general is important for self-esteem and confidence and, just being physically fit. But golf, you can play forever. So if you play field hockey like I did in high school, not really much field hockey going on for women in their early 50s, but if I want to pick up the, game of golf for the first time at my age, let's say, I could definitely find other women who want to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen, I have a question. I know first tee is economical to many people. Now we have a broad audience everywhere, and sometimes golf can be expensive at country clubs or golf things. And somebody's like, this is a good idea for my daughter, but then they're thinking dollar signs. What would be a good suggestion to even family members that are wanting to, but like we're talking about girls going into it, what would be an economical, because we don't know if there's a first tee everywhere. Yeah. So what would be the best route to go?
So I think my sport, golf, has such stigmatism to it, right? Like it's played by old white men and it's expensive, right? Yes. That is a little bit true. There's parts of the sport that are like that, but actually 75% of golf courses are public courses. You pay a daily fee to play. You don't have to be a member to play. Now, that doesn't mean that 75% of golf courses are absolutely affordable. There's very high-end daily fee courses, but 25% of golf courses are municipal golf courses. So that means they're owned by your county, your local government, your city, and they're usually typically quite affordable. And in fact, the median price of an 18-hole round of golf is only $36, including the golf cart if you choose to ride and not walk. So that's pretty affordable for something that you're going to do for 4 hours or so, on a weekend or after work in the summer. So I think the first thing I would say to any parent or any woman, anyone who's interested in getting involved in the sport is go find that municipal course. And for women, find a friend, grab a friend, take her with you, because it's really scary to do new things on our own. So find a friend and go find a ladies clinic. For kids, there's junior clinics all the time. It doesn't have to be first tee, although of course I'm quite biased to first tee. We are in 150 communities across the US and around the world. But if the first tee isn't an option for where you live, there's tons of, especially like I said, municipal golf courses that have great junior programs and beginning programs, especially for women. There's a lot of what our industry calls latent interest in golf. So lots of people want to play, but they don't know how to start. They're nervous to start, especially women. If we don't know what we're doing, we feel like we shouldn't do it. And that's completely ridiculous. Just go and ask questions, and hopefully the course where you end up will be welcoming and invite you in and get you going. And you can find, I was going to say something that one of the things I think has been so cool about this sport over the last 10 years or so is that fashion is so fun. So there's so many, you don't have to have this like staid collar and, Bermuda shorts anymore. It's like fun dresses and skirts and colors, and it doesn't have to be expensive. If you go like PGA Tour Superstore, there's tons of brick and mortar stores, but there's also online. We have one here in Jacksonville. We go straight back to the sale rack, and there's tons of great things that you can get for really inexpensive, especially if you're starting new at the game. And you can find great deals on shoes and also clubs too. Or you can find, I was looking on our local Swip Swap in the community where I live this morning for something, and I saw golf clubs on there that were like, very inexpensive. So I think it's a sport that feels intimidating, but it definitely doesn't have to be.
Jen, tell us a little bit more around the overall health benefits. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're out in the field and you're actually on the course and you're playing, the pay to play is somewhat reasonable, right? And
Yeah.
then a few hours of really involving yourself to get out there and hit and play and be with some girlfriends and really enjoy that treasured time together. So solid health benefits. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So agreed. I think from a mental health standpoint, which, everyone knows how important that is today, you can be outside in nature. You can put your phone down for a little while. In fact, until recently, a lot of courses didn't even allow you to use phones. Now, unfortunately, a lot of golf carts actually have charging for your phone. But if you want to, you can put your phone away. You're just outside enjoying, 4 hours of just quiet. And so mentally, I think it's a really healthy thing to do. Then if you actually walk, you're walking about 5 miles if you're playing 18 holes. And even if you take a cart, if you're a golfer, you know that you can't get your cart to your ball every time. So you're still walking about 2 miles if you're taking a cart. So that's, 5 miles is probably 2,000 calories or something you're burning when you're walking, which is great. You're also the movement, again, it's a sport for life. So especially if you're an older woman and you're moving in that way, you're kind of keeping your joints going. You're, just staying fit and staying healthy. And then I would say too, from a social standpoint, you can be out there with your girlfriends, you can be out there with your husband or your partner, just really enjoying. In fact, Amy knows that we're empty nesters now. And so just when my husband and I can go out, play 9 holes on the weekend, it's so fun. Like we just absolutely enjoy every minute of it. And we don't care if we're playing well or not. We just are outside doing something fun and enjoying each other's company.
So who are these folks here in this photo?
Yeah, so that's a fun picture. That was just a couple of weeks ago at a course here in St. Augustine, Florida, called Marsh Creek. And that was a fundraising outing for First Tee North Florida. So that's me with the pink hat, and then 2 of my colleagues in the middle and a former colleague on the left. And fun story, the colleague on the left in the green skirt, she got a hole-in-one when we played that day. It was really fun. Her name is Rachel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And again, I think this shows the fashion of
Yeah.
golf. It's all over, and you can do fun things with it. That's what it's all about. Hey, Jen, what would be a good recommendation for ages to start for girls?
Oh gosh. And that picture, by the way, with me and Amy at the Players Championship a couple of years ago. Even I will say before I answer your question, Sarah, even if you don't want to play golf, going to a golf tournament, a PGA or LPGA event is super fun. Great food and drinks. And, again, you're outside for a few hours. Everyone's welcome. You can sit on the grass. You can sit in the stands. It's great fun. And we at the Players Championship here in Northeast Florida every year, we just have such a fun time. But in terms of starting, if I'd say for first tee, obviously we always say kids should start at like 5 or 6, 7, but there's not an age. There's not a correct age. I think the average age of a starting golfer in the US is somewhere in their low 20s, 23, 24. So probably after people have graduated college and they get their first job and they realize, oh, there's some people leaving the office to go play golf. I would like to go with them, and they start to learn. But I'd say for women, I told you I played with my grandmother when I was a kid. She didn't start till she was actually my age, in her early 50s. So there isn't a right or wrong time to start. You can start anytime.
Jen, you touched on something, and people that have worked in corporate America, you always hear about guys are all going to golf.
That's what I was thinking.
I was just thinking this is an opportunity.
Yeah, boom, right? Yes, right on.
We're working.
Yes. So we could go, well, you can take me because I know
That's
how to play too. So you could do some lessons behind the scene. And so when that men's golf tournament comes up, you can throw the card of, what about the females?
Well, and what? A lot of times those tournaments are it's called a scramble. So you don't have to play your own ball for 18 holes. You, without getting into too much detail, you kind of share shots along the way. So if you hit a good shot one time and your partners hit a good shot, you kind of share those shots along the way. In fact, that foursome that you just showed, that was a scramble. So you don't have to be an excellent golfer or even a good golfer to go play in that type of outing. And if you just put your name out there, especially if you're a young one in your 20s or 30s and you're like, what have I got to lose? I want to go out and play with the guys. I think you'll have a lot of respect from people in the office, and it's amazing what gets done in 4 quiet hours on the golf course, the conversations that happen and the business that gets done. It's great to be part of it.
That's right. And nowadays there's so many different opportunities that people don't get their arms around in terms of non-traditional golf as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, you want to highlight a little bit about kind of that platform overall?
Yeah, so a lot of us are lucky to have either Top Golf or Drive Shack, which is really gamified golf with great food and beverages in a very non-traditional atmosphere, but still traditional golf clubs. So you're still kind of hitting a regular ball and kind of getting the feel of how it might be out on the golf course. But it's super fun, relaxed atmosphere. And women really love to try that out if they haven't played the game before. And then there's also short courses. So there's a course in our community called Palm Valley, but they're all over the country where it's not a traditional par 72 or par 70 course that's, thousands of yards. It's maybe par 3s and par 4s that are shorter. Again, very family friendly. When I go out to play that course that I just mentioned here in this community, there's tons of, dads and kids and moms and kids and couples and things like that. It's just really fun to see. And then there's a newer course in our community here again in Northeast Florida called the Yards, where you walk up and there's music blaring out of the clubhouse and fun music, like music from the 80s, 90s, super fun. And you're like, whoa, this is different, but it's a totally new way of thinking about the sport, which I love. And it's really attracting the millennials and the Gen Zs who maybe haven't been exposed to golf before, and understanding that they can make it part of their life. And it doesn't have to be 4 or 5 hours. It can be an hour and a half. They can get in a quick short 6 holes and get a drink and head, on to the rest of their weekend, whatever they want to do. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of non-traditional stuff.
I have to laugh at that. The Gen Zs and the millennials, I can see it now when they're like 85. The golf courses are all going to have mega speakers on them, and it's going to be loud golf courses.
I know. Well, and I still have to catch myself, right? Because I did grow up playing a long time ago, and it was very traditional. It was quiet. Everybody, golf class. Now you hear, like Amy, you and I, we played. People are like blasting music out of their golf carts, and it just happened to my husband and me last weekend, and I was like, my first reaction was to be like, whoa, that's so loud. And my second reaction was like, no, they're having so much fun. Like, let them go. It's awesome.
Well, wasn't there like the big tournament that was in Arizona, and there were some other things that were happening, and it was like a big, like, I think the words that I heard people saying was like, it was kind of like frat party-ish.
Well, waste management. Yes. So it's the Waste Management Open.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it brought like a different vibe to it that isn't that traditional one.
Yeah. They have a very famous, much like we do with the 17th hole here at TPC Sawgrass, they have a very famous hole at the Waste Management Open, which is like raucous, but it was also the same weekend as Super Bowl, which is like what we were talking about too. So there was just a ton of people in town in Phoenix that weekend. So I'm sure it was a lot of fun.
But I mean, it exposed lots of people to something different. I mean, Absolutely. Like I always joke, I'm not a golfer, but I will go hang at Top Golf. I will try to hit that ball. It may go 10 feet, but that's pretty good distance for me.
Yeah. And that's fun because, 10 years ago, you didn't have a Top Golf to go to. You didn't have something to get involved in the sport. Yeah, exactly.
And I always say that there needs to be somebody to drive the cart, sometimes.
That's right. That's always helpful. But like never before, there are open opportunities for people to really begin to embrace this sport on so many different levels, between attire, between the music on the course a little bit, between going to, even putt. So if somebody is concerned and thinking, gosh, I'd really like to try this, but I'm not sure, now's the time, really. I mean, more than ever before, of different avenues that you can really capitalize on this amazing sport. And Jen, back to your comment a few minutes ago in terms of some of the larger tournaments the energy and synergy of these tournaments when you don't even play golf, it is electric. I
Yeah.
can't even explain it, right?
Well,
I
and
mean,
the other thing I would say too is those tournaments, whether they are on the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, PGA Tour champions, so the older players, they're all charitable, right? So they're giving money back to their communities, which is a huge undercurrent of the sport of golf too. But all of those tournaments, whether it's Waste Management down in Phoenix or it's the Players Championship here in Northeast Florida and everywhere in between, they're leaving, thousands upon thousands of dollars in the community for charity, which is such an important platform for golf. And think about all the charitable outings that you're invited to play or your husbands and partners are invited to play in. They're raising millions of dollars for charity, not golf charities, but all charities.
that's right.
Throughout the country all the time. So it's a great, to me, it's just a sport. Again, it's a sport that you can pick up. It's a little bit intimidating. I get it for someone who hasn't played, but there's so many PGA professionals, both men and women out there who want to welcome people into the sport because they know how healthy it can be for you, how fun it can be. And again, like I said a couple times before already, that it's something that you can do for 20, 30, 40 more years.
Jen, can you talk a little bit more about what you do with the First Tee?
Sure. So, like I said, I've been at First Tee for almost 22 years, and I oversee. So, First Tee is a nonprofit organization that is a federated model. So, I work at First Tee headquarters. So, sort of think about a McDonald's, for example. You've got headquarters, and then you've got all of the restaurants across the country. We're sort of similar, but in a nonprofit way. So, we have headquarters and then 150 chapters throughout the country and around the world. And those chapters are run by staffs and volunteer boards who do an amazing job of impacting kids and families in those communities. And so I oversee all of those chapters along with an incredible team. I have a great team that I work with every day. We also have programs in elementary and middle schools. So we train PE teachers to deliver a golf and life skills curriculum in their PE classes. And then we have an after school program for places like YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs, again, where we train the local person at those clubs to deliver a golf experience using sports that kids already know, like baseball and things like that. We do all of the training of all of our coaches at First Tee headquarters. We develop the curriculum. We test the curriculum, make sure it's working, and that seamless integration of golf and life skills is there for kids. So like I said, we are really about character education more than golf. So our goal is not to create the next Annika Sorenstam or the next Tiger Woods, although that would be great, but it's really about creating the next, Supreme Court justice or the next doctor or teacher who also has golf in their life.
And both of my kids have gone through First Tee and have been involved in it for a number of years. And just the friendships that they've had for many years based upon the First Tee and kind of the roots and the depth of that organization, in addition to some fun, crazy tournaments to really kind of bring that talent of these young kids together. It's exciting to see the growth, again, not just from the golf perspective, but really getting their arms around more of the principles of ethics and the code of partnership and teamwork and things like this, as the kids go through a tournament and things like this. And what were some of the wins and what were some of the things that I learned from being out there to play? So, amazing organization.
And sure. I think the great thing is for like Carson and Lakeland, even if they don't play all the time, when they do get into that business world and there are folks going out to play in an event, they're going to raise their hand because they played as a kid and they aren't intimidated by it. So I think just exposing our kids, right, to as many things as we possibly can, be it golf or other sports. Like I said, I think just sports in general for young women are so important, but Lake will raise her hand and be like, yeah, I'll go because I know how to play golf. I'm a golfer, which is really
And
great.
just the fact that she's familiar with it and can get her arms around it, even if it is, at Top Golf, right? It's like,
Sure.
okay, this is kind of cool. She's walking in and can hit it pretty well. You know what I mean? So that's a pride.
And I do
thing,
have
too.
a scenario. I know that there is some hardcore golfers, and then you come on with your girlfriends and your beginners. And I've been to golf places where they're like, "Oh, we're going to put you behind that group. No, wait, we're going to put you behind that one again," because they're strategically trying to not interfere with the pros, and that sometimes upsets them when you're beginners and your ball's going in the trees. You take 10 hours to go find it. How do you handle that when you really are truly trying to learn? Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm
babysitting my son Cat, and now I can just feel it all going behind my legs. This is not my people right now behind me.
That's funny.
Go ahead, Jen.
I think that for beginners, the best thing is to pick up, right? So if you're playing and you've got a group behind you that's, they're on the tee behind you and you're on the green, you're not a professional. Don't worry about shooting 8 or 9 on the hole. Just pick up and move on to the next hole. You're just there to practice and to learn. I think that's the worst thing that beginners can do to themselves is to spend 10 hours, like you said, or 10 minutes looking for a ball in the woods. It's just a ball, drop one, hit, and keep going. And then also to know the USGA had a great marketing campaign over the last several years, trying to get people to tee it forward. So on the golf course, you've typically got, we don't really typically call them ladies tees anymore, but like forward tees, middle tees, like red, white, blue, and black in the way, what we call from the tips, the longest. And if you're a beginning golfer and you're a man, tee it forward. Who cares? Just tee it from the reds. It doesn't matter. Nobody's there to judge you. Just have fun, and don't make it harder for yourself if you're not an excellent golfer yet. And I think the quicker we can play and the more we can just pick up and keep going, I think people will have way more fun playing the game.
So it's okay if I go grab my ball out of the woods and throw it onto the green?
Absolutely.
That'll get it farther than me hitting it.
Unless you're in a tournament, right? Do whatever you want. Just have fun.
Yeah.
I used to play with a group of girls, and at the beginning, because I used to play pretty competitive, and we would all say at the beginning is, okay, gang, this is going to be fun. We're going to have fun today. We're going to bring it back, and we're not going to be so crazy competitive. We're out here to really spend quality time and enjoy and get out there, get some great exercise, and then lunch afterwards or what have you. But really at the beginning, just, hey, we're all in it today to just have a great time and have some fun. And it really is just an amazing sport. So, yeah.
And I would say too, Sarah, if it is truly a group of 4 women beginners, that can be super intimidating on a traditional 18-hole layout. So go find the par 3 in your community, or the short course, where you're going to be surrounded by more beginning golfers and people who aren't going to maybe be annoyed by playing behind you, which nobody should be annoyed. But for people who play well, it is hard to wait on your shot every time. You don't want to play that way. So if you are beginning, just go play 6 or 9 holes at the par 3 course, and build up your game. And if that's fun for you and if that's golf for you, perfect. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's right. Take your wins, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. There's no Tiger Woods wannabes there.
That's right. I don't know if there are any wins in my.
That's right. That's right.
I just love that she went from an 18 to a 3 hole.
Yeah.
We're all in, gang.
I'll be your caddy.
Right? Yes. Yeah.
Well, this was so great to hear from you and to take some time to chat.
Thank you.
Learn more about the sport, more about what you do. Any last thoughts for our viewers?
So I did send you, Tara, a link to Make Golf Your Thing. Make Golf Your Thing is an industry-wide coalition that's really getting people engaged in making golf their sport, making golf their business, or making golf their career. So I work with lots of people at First Tee, for example, who don't play golf. They're just interested in youth development. But there's people that work at the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, the USGA, and lots of other places, again, who aren't golfers themselves. But it's an incredibly big industry, you know, billions and billions of dollars. So if you go to makeoffyourthing.org, there's a whole Golf 101, which you can watch and listen to, and learn how to start at this sport that, again, could be intimidating. But I would definitely encourage your viewers and listeners to go to makeoffyourthing.org and just take a look around.
Jen, just thank you again for the opportunity to share your insight and perspective and knowledge around this game. And just so that our viewers know, Jen is an amazing lady, and she actually is somebody that has saved my life. And we'll get into that at another point in time. But Jen, we are honored to have you. Yes.
I think you should, now that you left it like that, people are you better tell them now what happened.
It's the hook. Nope, we'll go there another time. But
I was just Jen, in the right place at the right time.
Yes. Yes. So thank you so very, very much. And I hope everybody walks away with some intel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was super fun. You guys are doing a great job
on golf today. Thank you, Jen, for being with us.
Thank you. And we will see you all in May.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Bye.